All right, so today, guys, we're going to be talking about Vue.js. We have Eric, who recently changed his channel to Eric the Programmer. Is that right?
Yeah, Program with Eric.
Program with Eric. See, I already messed this up. I know it changed, though, and it's the thought that counts. But now a two-time author. The first book was on Ember.js, and now you're a co-author of a book on Vue.js. What was the title of that one?
Vue.js in Action.
Now, what is Vue.js? Because as someone who follows the trends of Angular and React, those have kind of been the two main sort of front-end languages. But now a lot of people are seeing Vue.js on the rise. Would you mind kind of diving into it?
Yeah, sure. Vue.js is what they call it, a progressive framework is the slogan on the website. It's similar to these other single-page or client-side frameworks out there. It was created by a guy named Evan You in 2013 while he worked at Google. And he even described it at the beginning. It wasn't even called Vue. He just thought it was kind of a crappy version of Angular. He wanted to try to create his own version of Angular with what he deemed more worthy. And then kind of the history goes that he was kind of tinkering on it, and then he finally kind of put something together pre 1.0 days of Vue.js that he submitted to Hacker News. That's a pretty popular website that you can submit links to stories. He got to #1 in Hacker News. The GitHub for the project went from like 10 stars to like 600 stars. And if you don't know, GitHub and stars kind of doesn't really tell you a whole lot, but stars can kind of tell you if a project has a lot of momentum or enthusiasm behind it. So from there, it kind of got more and more popular. At 1.0, it was completely rewritten. And then that was probably in early 2015. And then in 2016, 2.0 came out, Vue.js 2.0, and it was another complete rewrite of it. Again, a big portion of it was rewritten. And the momentum has just kind of been moving more and more. I guess it's gaining a lot of momentum is what I'm trying to say in the last couple of years. And go ahead.
Now, why do you think that is? Are people just sick of Angular and React being kind of the two big bosses, and they're like, hey, we need something new and fresh? Or what do you think it is?
I think it came out with the idea of, batteries are not included. So it's a real simple progressive framework, and meaning that you can easily add it to your projects. If you just have your own static website, you can easily add it in. You don't have npm install 30 different libraries to get it working. You can either just include it in a CDN at the top, or just include it in your project real easily. But it's also powerful enough that you can create a whole web app using Vue.js to have it do everything. It has its own router. It has its own kind of data store called Vuex, which is very similar to something called Flux. So it has a lot of these things that make it really powerful, but the simplicity of it is you can just add it right into your project and get it working, and it's very maintainable. So if another developer comes in and they want to get started and they see your code and it has Vue in it, it's easy for them to see, oh, well, this is a Vue model directive. I kind of see this for loop here. I kind of see what you're doing here. So it's really easy for people to get onboarded, new developers getting started with it. So that's kind of some of its strengths. And I think the developer community has seen this, and they've, in the last couple of years, have really shifted away from more of these monolithic frameworks that do everything, kind of like Ember.js did back in the day, maybe a little bit like Angular 1. And they're really like the smaller, faster, lightweight frameworks that can come in and do everything for you.
I will definitely say that I can agree with that sentiment, because when trying to tackle like Angular 4, I started recently diving into it, and the overhead for it, if anybody's dived into Angular 2 or above, the quick start has about 70 files in it, and it's kind of ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. There has been a shift towards all these frameworks and libraries. React is more of a library, but definitely Vue is considered more of a framework from the creator, of having these CLIs that build everything for you and make it big and large and get you started, which is nice for a beginning developer, but then you get all this crap added in. You don't really know what's happening, and it's doing a lot of different things. So you can, of course, build it either way. On the Vue side, you can just quickly add it to a project, or you can use something like the Vue CLI, which is a way to generate a new project.
Now, as someone who's interested in Vue.js, and I have done very little research, I just like to try new things. What would be a good sort of learning path or a good way for me to maybe start a project? Are there any resources? I know your book, I'm sure, is one, but what sort of projects would be a good entry-level introduction to Vue?
Well, yeah, I love the community of Vue. They have there's a couple of pretty popular forums where everybody goes to get help on Vue. I think they even have a Slack channel. I have to double check. The documentation for Vue, I mean, I'd love for you guys to go buy my book, and it's in early access right now. It's called Vue.js in Action, and I think Dylan I'll probably be giving away a copy to Dylan so he can give it to one of you guys that are watching, either now or sometime later in the future. I'm not sure when, but
Wednesday when the video goes out, the following day, someone's getting a copy. So tune in.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, but really the documentation is really stellar on the Vue.js website. They have a really quick introduction to get started that if you can just spend like an afternoon going through the Vue.js docs, you're going to be pretty far ahead when you get to the bottom. If you so I definitely recommend if you don't decide to get a book, or to definitely my book's a lot more hand holding. I give you a lot bigger scenario, go a lot into more technical details. But if you want to get started, the Vue.js docs are just great. They're really top notch.
I'm excited to hear that, because as a rule of thumb, and I made a joke about this in a Facebook group the other day about how, like, the coding 10 commandments, that I think the 7th one was that documentation will always be the worst part of the application. And it's nice to know that some companies and some people who are building out libraries are actually taking the additional time, because there's so much to do that sometimes documentation, even testing, goes to the wayside. So I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. They did a pretty good job of getting people up to speed and explaining the concepts in Vue.
Now, what sort of technologies would go hand in hand well with Vue, or is it one of those that you can use with almost anything?
Yeah, that's kind of the power of Vue. It's really meant to be in place for anything you need it for. So you can, in your existing websites, if you need a special widget or a special logic that you need in there, you can just throw in Vue, the framework inside there. You can just include it at the top. Or if you need to create a whole web app, you can do it as well. And if you do have some more complicated user interactions and you're talking to a back end and you get a lot of different data, and it becomes a little bit more complicated depending on the user action, there is something called Vuex, which I kind of touched upon about earlier. So you do have a kind of a data layer that you can use to manage your user interactions to the back end and the data store itself, which is nice.
Anything else that you would like to add about why someone might want to use Vue, or its benefits that we haven't covered?
Definitely just kind of hammer home this point that it's just the simplicity of it all. It's just really simple to get started. It uses something called directives, which you can inline right into your HTML to do a lot of things that other languages require, or other frameworks might require more setup. The Vue instance is really simple. So it's just really easy to get started, and it's really powerful. It also has transitions kind of built into the library too. So if you're trying to do some fancy animations, you can use what Vue.js has built in to make your animations easier to look at. And so if you're kind of dipping your toe into this client-side framework, Angular, React world out there, Ember world, I think this is a good starting point.
I'd like that you said about the animations, because that's one thing. Like, I don't know, I always talk shit on jQuery, but jQuery had a lot of cool little animation functions built in to really make your life easy and make your web applications pop a little bit. And a lot of those didn't carry over to React and Angular. And so it's nice to hear that Vue has that built in.
Yeah, it has some parts where it makes it easier to write your own CSS and do transitions for it. But yeah, that is part of the framework.
So where can people? And you said the book is in pre-release.
Yeah, so it's in Manning's pre-release program. It's called MEEP, or Manning Early Access Program. So there's 3 chapters available right now. You can actually go to the Manning website and download the first chapter for free to see if you like it. Otherwise, you can check out the full book on the Manning website. I'll be updating it about once a month. You'll be starting to see new chapters come up. I'm also really focused on quality, so any problems with typos, stuff like that, I'm definitely getting those taken care of. But also, if there's any problems with any of the code, I'm really interested to hear if what people think of the examples, and then I'm going to be improving on those examples to make them even better. So I think that's kind of the power of the early access program that Manning has, is that it gets it out there quick and you can get feedback quick, so you can make a better book overall.
Nice. I look forward to reading it, and I know everyone who's watching is hoping they're the lucky one that gets the book. So thank you. And everybody, I know it's not just you. Everyone, a lot of times, a lot of people collaborate on books. So definitely extend the thanks as well.
Yeah, you're welcome, Dylan. Thank you.
I thank you very much, man. I appreciate your time.
Take care.
All right. Have a good night. Bye. I was muted during this epic intro, but winner Art P, you are the winner, sir. So Art P, you will be receiving a free. Why am my green screen's all jacked up now? But you'll be receiving a course from Angular-University.io. Thank you to them. If you didn't win this time, guys, don't worry. Tomorrow, or on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we have a new giveaway all the time. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching. Hey guys, thanks for watching the video. Special thanks to our sponsors, Dev Mountain. If you're looking for a coding bootcamp where tuition and housing is included, definitely check them out. Appreciate it, and I'll see you guys in the next video.